Hello and welcome back to the February Saturday Sampler here close to home in Southington. So what we're going to do is have you bring your completed January block in to close to home between Friday, February 9th and March 31st to get your February kit free. And you haven't signed up yet? Not a problem. You can begin our block of the month anytime with the first kit for $25 registration. Just want to let you know about a big sale going on this weekend, Super Bowl Sunday weekend, starting Thursday, February 8th. Our hours are 10 to 5. Friday the 9th, 10 to 5. Saturday the 10th, we are here 10 to 4, and we will be open Super Bowl Sunday for the sale 12 to 4. 33% off most everything, and we will also be having a 50% off and more table for those 4 days only. So just so you know, the Saturday sampler fabrics, either on the bolt, fat quartered, bundles, kitted, basic, intermediate, will not be on sale at 33% off. As a matter of fact, they will not be on sale, period. So just wanted to let you know, but most everything in the store will be 33% off, so come on in. That's it. A couple things that we should talk about on the block. It's a little bit different as far as we have these smaller pieces in here. So we're going to be working with a Unit A, which is the corner pieces, and a Unit B. So you'll see them right here. And I'm going to be sewing both of those up for you, so there won't be any questions, okay? And of course we have our one center. So let's go to the cutting, because the cutting was a little quirky this month, and I just want to make sure that you fully understand what to do. So your white rectangle, the first thing you want to do is take off a 4 1/4 inch square, and we're going to cut that into quarter triangles. I call it a quarter square triangle, but it's a quarter triangle. So then we're left with a remaining rectangle. From the long side, we're going to cut off 2-inch strips. Each of those is going to be cut into 3 1/2 inch rectangles. The remainder of that rectangle is 2 3/8. And we're going to make 4 squares, and those are cut on the diagonal once for a half triangles, or I call them half square triangles. Okay, so that was the hardest part. If you can get down the white, you got this. Yellow, 2 strips, 2-inch, creating 8 2-inch squares. The deep red you'll find is a rectangle, and we're going to do 3 2-inch strips, which yields 12 2-inch squares. The coral is just like the white. It's 2 4 1/4 inch squares cut on the diagonal twice to be quarter triangles, or as I call the quarter square triangles. The next two are super easy, multi-black. All you want are 4 2 5/8 inch squares. And then the center square is our multi-brick. That's 3 1/2. I don't believe we used the multi-brick or the yellow last month, so I did introduce that this month. They are in your finishing kit if you're still interested. We do have finishing kits. Just come on in and ask all about them. Before you cut your kits, be sure to give them a really good pressing with Mary Ellen's Best Press. It helps to stabilize your fabric, makes it a little bit stiffer, easier on a lot of our bias edges that are going on in the block this month. So please use the Mary Ellen's Best Press. I also am going to recommend a 3.5 by 6.5 inch ruler. And of course my 8.5 by 12.5 inch ruler. Love, love, love this ruler. Okay. All right, so let's get into Unit A, which is going to start with our 2-inch squares. A very simple 4-patch that we're going to make. I'm going to sew these together, and which I've done here to make a 4-patch. Oh, sorry. There we go. That looks much better. There's our 4-patch. And we're going to press these toward, I believe, the yellow side. And then when the two sides are locked, the seams will lock. You're just going to press them to one side. Again, it really doesn't matter, but this is pressed to the yellow, lock your seams, make your 4-patch. You're going to have to make 4 of these. The next thing you want to do is check your white, 2.5 by, what is it, 2 by 3.5. And we're going to place it, it's my right hand side. You watch the directions that I'm going to give you with your kit. But it's going to go on the right hand side. So we're going to go ahead and sew that. And this one gets pressed to the white. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then the last unit we're going to do is the other 2 by 3.5 with a 2-inch deep red square. And again, this one gets pressed to the white so that when we put these together, they will lock the seam in this intersection. So let's go ahead and finish up this Unit A. I have one already up on the board, but I just want to finish this up so you see the finished block. Okay. Really keep your raw edges right on top of each other. It's so easy to have that bottom fabric slip out a little bit. So you want to make sure they are right on top of each other. All right, and again, I'm going to press this toward the white, and I'm only doing that, I know it's light, but I'm doing that because I have a seam here. And that will help eliminate some of the bulk by putting my seam in this direction. If I went this way, I would have a lot of fabrics right on top of each other in that one intersection. So let's press it to the white. I just give it a little bit of heat. Get it to stay nice. And if you want, you can hit it from the back. Again, a little bit of heat. Try not to iron, but just give it a good press. All right, now we're going to add the other unit across the top to finish up our Unit A. And again, I want to be able to lock these seams, so I'll just run this across nice and slow until I feel those two seams nesting right next to each other. Okay, so I'm going to start here and sew my 1/4 inch. Once I get started, I needle down, I regroup that little seam right there to lock it in place as I'm kind of holding it. I'm just going to feed it right under my presser foot. And then there was no rhyme or reason in which way this one was pressed. So we're going to go ahead and just press it that way. All right, so let's go to the ironing board one more time. And if this is the one I want it pressed to, then that one goes on top, because as I push my seam, I just give it a little bit of heat. Just hold it there for a few seconds, and again on the back. All right, so we have really nice little intersections right here. We have our square. Everything's looking good. That is Unit A. All right, so you're going to make 4 Unit A's. Let's go talk about Unit B. So Unit B is sewn, as you can say, on point. Okay, it's actually sewn in diagonals. So the first thing I like to do is put all my pieces for Unit B together. So I'm grabbing from the right piles. The white one, quarter triangle, goes on the top, and I'm going to sew that to a coral quarter triangle, and I'm matching up the two 90-degree angles. So when I sew this, I'm going to sew right across this intersection, right across this line, but I want to line up my 90 degrees. Now these should be the same size, and I'm just going to go ahead and sew that from the 90-degree corner straight across. So line up that corner and let's go sew that. Okay. Get it right on top of each other so I don't see any coral peeping through underneath the white. And we're going to press this, I believe it was, to the coral. So this one's getting pressed to the coral. So the coral triangle is on the top. I'm just going to give it a little lift and push away and give it a hold for a few seconds just to set that seam. All right, this should be a nice straight line right here. And now this is our new 90-degree corner. All right, so let's go do the center of Unit B. So first thing we want to do, again, we have two 90-degree corners between our coral quarter triangle and our center. It's called the multi-black circle. So we want to sew this line, and again, matching our 90-degree corner right on top, and I'm going to sew straight across here, and it won't quite come out that little valley right there, but you do want a nice accurate 1/4 of an inch going across. So sometimes I'll put a pin in this side because I'll mix it up when I get over to the machine and do this side, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're catching the right seam, and it's this side. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over because I sew from this side, and take that to sew. Okay. Let's put these two together. It's very easy to mix them up, so if you want, just put a pin in it, that would be fine too. So you'll notice that the 1/4 inch seam did not come out in the valley, and that's okay. That's what we want. All right, it's just a 1/4, it just stayed on the coral. So we'll go ahead and trim this, and again, we're going to push up, press this away from the square. So that means the coral side is up, and I'm going to press it in this direction. So let's give that a little press. And you can get it from the back if you'd like. All right. And again, we have a nice straight edge where our two 90-degree points came, our corners came in. All right, let's go get the last white piece on the corner. All right, so watching that we have the right side up for the white, what we're going to do is take the longest side and center it on our multi-black circle. So I'm just going to eyeball it pretty much, scoot that over just a tad. You can, after a while, you can eyeball it, but it should be centered. And we're going to go ahead and sew this 1/4 inch. So let's go take that. And we're going to again press away from the center square. This one's going to go toward the white, so I'll just give that a little bit of a finger press and go hit it with the iron. Again, I'm not using any steam, just a nice dry iron, and just hold it for a few seconds to set our seam. All right, now let's go, keep going. This is Unit B. All right, so we'll put that back. Next thing we want to do is attach our upper right corner to our center piece that we just did. So this is pressed to the coral, this is pressed to the coral. So it's going to lock as I draw it across. I feel it lock right in that seam. And again, my corners should be right on top of each other, same size. I want to make sure it's not over and I get a nice 1/4 inch all the way through. All right, so let's go to the sewing machine. This one will come through the valley. I want to make sure that this one does come out the point, as you can see right here, right inside that little valley right there. All right, and again, we're going to press away from the square. So I'll give it a little bit of a pressing with my hand. Not stretching it, just a little bit of a press, and take that once to the iron, and we have one more piece to put on. Just hold it, nice press. Pressing is so important in quilting. All right, keeping it always going away from our square. So we have one more, what I call half triangle, and that's the white. And we're going to, again, go ahead and center this. Make sure we're looking at the right side of our fabric. So right sides together. And I'm going to center it there and again over here. So when we sew, it's going to come through this little valley and out this little valley. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew one more seam. So if you notice, we started sewing and it came right in between that little valley right here, and it came out again right in that corner. All right, so we're going to press it, guess what, away from the square. Give it a little bit of a finger press and take it over to the iron. I'm telling you, the best press is very helpful. Okay, now I like it. Give it a little bit of heat and we're all set. So we're going to make 4 of these units as well. And then let's go take one more look at our block for February, and we'll go ahead and put it together. So I have a couple of these here. Our rows are we're just going to go ahead and turn these. The white 1/4 triangles are going to go up to the top. We have this. We have that one. These are the only ones I have done. And the yellows go into the corners. So really, it's a 9 patch when we're done. So we're going to sew the top row together, the middle row, and then the bottom row, and sew the rows into our block. So I hope you enjoy February's block. And again, if you haven't started at Close to Home with the Saturday Sampler, certainly come in, pick up January's kit. You're not that far behind. We're only on our second block, so we'd love to have you join us. So, as usual, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next month.